So you guys got to play a game that I played with my kids called Tunnel Tunes. You ever play Tunnel Tunes? Driving down the road singing, and you turn the volume completely off, let your kids sing and see if they can keep up with it and put it back. You guys did an amazing job at Tunnel Tunes. So give yourself a hand. How many of you have been fighting the ick all week? So there's many people gone fighting the ick all week. I just got my voice back yesterday. So, and I purposely just kind of closed myself in for a day to try to get my voice back. It's funny because today's topic is taming the tongue, the power of the words. Can I tell you who I am and who I'm not? I'm the type of pastor that preaches straight out of the Bible. That's who I am. And I'm not the type of pastor that's afraid to preach on hard subjects. Today's a hard subject. How many of you have a hard time taming your tongue? Right? We're going to talk about that. And James spends time talking about this because he's talking to a fractured church, right? So James, in all of this, he knows that there's been some church hurt. Anybody ever heard that word before, church hurt? Yeah. Probably the number one thing that I talk to people about of why they don't come to church is church hurt. Yeah. Why are you having church hurt? And you know what it really is it's people hurt. Yeah. Right? The church itself, like this building, didn't ever hurt anyone. The people inside, because we are flesh and we are human. Okay. I love this. That's one of my favorite things in the world. Any of you want to announce it too? Just let me know. I love it. So, you know how I talk can influence anything, right? How many different ways can you say whatever? Got this? Whatever. Whatever. Okay? So just the tone in that one word changes how people take that one word, huh? So when we talk to people, we can really mess things up. When James is speaking to these people across, and it's a scattered church, and I think he's speaking to the church today as well. When he's speaking to a scattered church, he's saying, listen, I don't want church hurt to be in the way. That's not what I'm trying to do. So I want to just put it out on the table, have a conversation about it, and be done with it. You ever have those kind of conversations where you go, look, I just got to talk about this. So he's going to start off with this in James 3:1-2. And Bibles. Everybody have a Bible? If you need a Bible, we can get you a Bible. But we're staying right in the book of James. And so you know, as we move out of the book of James and we move into the life of Jesus, my intent is to stay in one book per sermon. So I'll be preaching the life of Jesus out of Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, all the way through. Because what I want you to get used to doing is having your Bibles with you. Okay? So we have, and this is a pastor's problem, we've made it to where Bibles are obsolete because you see the words on the screen. I didn't have that growing up. Did anybody else have that growing up? I didn't have that growing up, so I wasn't able to just go, okay, here it is. And if we lose power or my microphone goes out, I'll just keep talking. But power goes out, I can always grab my Bible and remember what my notes are out of my Bible. So electric forms are good too, but I preach out of CSB, and it's not that much different than your NIVs and all the other normal English speaking ones. I don't preach out of King James because it isn't for today. So here we go. James 3:1-2. Not many of you should become teachers, my brothers, because you know that you will receive a stricter judgment. No, I'm not going to lie. I almost stopped there and went, can I erase that scripture? Because guess who gets to teach, right? For we stumble in many ways. If anyone does not stumble, he says he's mature and able to control his whole body, which is not possible. He's saying it's just not possible. He's talking to teachers today, but he's not just talking to pastor teachers. He's talking to anybody who teaches. How many of you have taken lessons to do something? Okay? So he's talking to those people too. As you're learning the lessons and you start walking your way through the lessons, if someone leads you astray, it's going to mess you up. So that's why in the fire department we drill every week. Every week we drill, every week, so it stayed in our head. But he also reminds us that we stumble in many ways. And this gives grace to those who teach. Now, you have to be humble when you do it, okay? Now, I have messed up. Everybody say, no. I have messed up. And I can graciously take someone saying, hey, I don't think that was quite right. And what I will do at that point is I'll come back and correct myself if that's what happens. I try to stick with my notes because I tend to ADD things. I know I'm probably the only one that does that. But if I stick with my notes, I know that I'm going to stay there. You see, your words carry weight. And I don't care if you're just talking to someone, just casually talking to someone, but your words carry weight. I can't tell you how many times I wish that I could reel back my words, but they don't come back. It doesn't happen. No matter how much you try to reel them back, it doesn't. You see, he doesn't want us to crush people's faith. He wants to build people's confidence up. He's saying, look, teachers, I believe in you, but you have to be very careful. Now, if you think about any of the teachers that may have messed you up, like church hurt, right? Church hurt is like turning up the oven. The boiling frog situation is a lot of times you don't realize you're in church hurt until you're boiling. And then all you know is the water caused it, but it was other things that caused the church hurt to happen. You see, the 12 tribes are now scattered. They're gone. Jesus was crucified. Christians were being persecuted, and they went, away we go. It was kind of the easiest way for them to be able to persevere. But in doing that, they lost their teachers. They lost the people along the way. He's just talking to us about really being careful in how we preach and we teach. You see, if teaching becomes an ego, and I've said this before many times, if this church becomes about me, I might as well just quit and go to the mountains. Because it's not about me. It's... Hi, Facebook. Man, we got some you guys all love me anyways, even though we have technical difficulties, right? Welcome to the family. How many of you have technical difficulties at home as well? So there you go. So welcome home. So if I get an ego about me and I start really getting egotistically about how I preach or how I teach, I could lead the whole body in a different direction. You see, Jesus was about humility. And even James, as he's talking to the church, it's like a dad talking to his family and saying, hey, I really love you, but don't step in that puddle. Because if you do, you're going to get completely soaked. And they're going to step in the puddle anyways, right? But if I start speaking with care and I start thinking about how I teach others and how I walk through things. When I started the fire department, I was assigned a captain, and his name was Lee Adelsman. Amazing, I can remember that after almost 43 years. But I can remember the first day riding with Lee. I was the manager of a gas station in Maple Valley, and if you drive across the bridge in Maple Valley, don't do it for very long, but you look down, you'll see a Shell gas station down below. That was my gas station. I was a manager in that. We had worship sets all night long in that gas station. All the kids from my church would come literally spend the night with me because it was dead, and we would set up all kinds of worship in that gas station all night long. So I decided, I saw this thing that said, hey, fire department wanted. And so I went and applied. Because I worked nights in that gas station, they wouldn't take me. Because they needed somebody nights. They had days covered, but they didn't have nights. Well, I was able to change things around and went back into the fire department. But I went up and I talked to Captain Lee for the very first time. And I said, hey, my name's Sam, and I really want to be a firefighter. And he goes, good, jump in the rig. We're going on a cardiac arrest. And I was like, what? No, jump in the rig. We're going on a cardiac arrest. I'm in a Shell gas station uniform, okay? And I'm watching them as they perform CPR. They talk to each other. They flawlessly do things. They hook up the AED. They shock the person. They work the person. And it was just this really cool thing. And the person died. And I was like, oh, man, that's a bummer. But here's what I know is that they did their training. But we don't always have control over whether someone lives or dies. And I taught that to paramedic schools. When I was teaching paramedics, I would say, look, I know you think that you're super cool, but you don't have the ability over life and death. There's only one person that has the ability over life and death. And I even said that when I was doing that. It's going to happen. If we watch what we're doing. So here's what Captain Lee did when he came back. He talked to me about it. He goes, now, how do you feel about that? And I said, I'm fine.
I mean, I've seen dead lots of stuff before. It wasn't a big deal to me. And he goes, now you just went on one of the calls that we go on quite a bit. Are you sure you still want to do this? Well, the time came and I said yes. And I put out the application. The time came to start the academy. And Captain Lee was handing out boots. And I saw him doing this. He was writing L and R on boots. And I was like, what are you doing? He goes, you guys are recruits. You got to know which way left and right is. And so he literally wrote them on the top of the boots, a left and a right. And so that you remembered what it was. Here's the thing about Lee. As I was assigned to him, he was a great teacher. He loved the fire service, and you could tell he loved the fire service, and he loved us as his crew. So what he wanted to make sure is, as he taught people, he did it right. Because he knew our decisions are life or death. We decide that we're going to move something in the wrong direction and the whole thing goes up and it collapses on people because our training isn't good enough. It's life or death. So we did as much training as we could. And Lee was one of those guys that was right in the front line with you. Captains don't usually do that, but like he was right there. He was up in the front talking to us and saying, this is what you need to do. Do this. And I always felt comfortable because I knew Lee was giving me the right directions. Now, had he given me the wrong directions, things could have gone a long ways really bad. Because my very first fire was 5 minutes after I moved into the fire station. And Lee wasn't on the call with me. And I was like, what do I do without Lee? Well, his training was with me. And James saying, Jesus isn't here, but his training is still here. See how that works? And he's going, we just have to follow it. You have to also understand this. Your influence is way bigger than what you think it is. Oh, pastor, I got a problem cussing. Okay, I got it. That's not a forgivable sin, unforgivable sin. I get it. But how do you want to portray yourself to someone else? Okay, how do I want to do that? Now, I get it. People cuss. I'm not on you about that. But it's like, okay, but if I'm speaking to you and I'm having a conversation with you, my tones, everything that I do is a tone you're listening to and you're trying to figure out what I'm going to say. If I start cussing in the middle of a sermon, I'm pretty sure most of you would go, whoa, you know. But the fact of the matter is, it's how we influence other people. Cussing in the fire station was just like the military. If you were in the military, every other word was an F-bomb. I said F-bomb. Every other word was an F-bomb. I put a jar out with $1 on it. Every time they said an F-bomb, they put $1 in the bucket. I broke them. This one guy walks in, puts $20 in. He goes, I'm covered. I'm covered for the day. I said, you're kind of missing the point on this. I don't want you to buy the F-bombs. I want you to stop saying them. Because here's what I know is that as we start working and we start doing a cardiac arrest and something goes wrong and that F-bomb flies out because you're used to saying it all the time and you practice how you say that all the time, you go, and there's family around and they hear you do that. Well, look, the reaction with other people as you're talking to them about life and Jesus and hope is the same way. I can destroy that in a heartbeat on how I deal with things. You have a huge influence over who you talk. I told Olivia way early on, I said, I want you to write your testimony out for you because your story matters to people. And that's true about everyone in this room. Your story it matters to people. It's what will bring people to Jesus, how you bring your story to people. So it's really important that we remember that as we speak, it's a bigger platform. Now here comes the hard part, okay? James 3:3-5. Everybody look down at your Bibles. Now, if we put bits in the mouth of horses so that they obey, we direct their whole bodies. Consider ships. They are guided by a small rudder. So too is the tongue, a small part of the body. It boasts of great things. Consider how small fires get set and ablaze to large forests. I love that. First of all, I love horses. And so you should know that about me. Horses are my people. They don't talk back and they love unconditionally. They can step on you sometimes, but that's usually your fault. They don't like to step on people. And so I asked Zay if she would bring me a bit, a snaffle. And so this is a normal bit. So I want to break this down a little bit I didn't get to use one of these on a horse until we actually broke a horse. So we would gentle break horses, and anybody who knows how you gentle break horses, you just get them used to you. You raise them up from when they're a foal. You get them used to saddles. You get them used to things walking around. Then you start, and if you watch YouTubes and stuff, you'll see people just put gentle break. You put a foot in the stirrup and lift yourself up and go, are we going for a ride? What are we going to do? But here's the deal. It's a relationship between you and the horse. Now this goes in their mouth, and a horse's mouth is actually really, really tender. Most of the time I didn't ride with these in at all. I just rode with a rope around their nose. Because when a horse trusts you and knows what you're going to do, they don't necessarily need a bit. Now, I don't do that often, especially with horses I don't know, but they're super tender in their mouth. And so it takes very little. If you ever watch, this is a homework assignment. Sorry, I got to cowboy you guys a little bit. It's just who I am. If you ever, I want you to YouTube reining. Okay? Horse reining. It is the most beautiful thing that you will ever see between a person and their horse. And you will never see them move the reins. They literally move their pinky like this. And it's the sensitivity. Now you watch someone new get on a horse and you hand them that. Now you're going to know they're new by how they mount the horse, okay? Do they have the reins in their hand? Are they reaching up to the mane? And then how are they getting up onto the horse? And are they walking to the left side, putting their foot in, slinging their leg over? Now, I'm not holding the horn. I'm holding the reins and I'm holding the neck. I can run the horse if I fall off, but I'm pretty good about not falling off. And so you just pop your leg over the top and you sit there. Now, the horse is a little confused because he's waiting for you to say something to him. Like he knows you're on his back and he knows your voice. See where I'm going with this? He knows your voice. And a good horse, you can literally drop the reins and I can steer him with my legs and my butt. I said butt in church. We are redneck. So all I have to do is sit back and say, whoa, and the horse stops. And this takes time, but this little bit in their mouth can direct them in all kinds of different ways. And at some point while you're driving down your car and it all of a sudden hits you, you got to go, what are the things driving me, Lord? What are the things driving my speech? What are the things driving my tongue? Because I bet you won't have a bit in your mouth at the time. But you got your tongue in your mouth. Now it moves to the rudder of a ship. Now a ship is huge. Here's the rudder. See that rudder right there? It's just a fin. That rudder is about probably 8 foot tall. And you think, well, 8 foot's pretty big. And then you see the ship. And then you see the ship. There it is. That whole rudder was running the ship, that big of a ship. And it's running off a 6 foot rudder going side to side. It's the little things in life that push big things. And so this little rudder moves back and forth and moves that whole ship one way or the other. Yeah, there's thrusters on this too. If you are a ship person, you'll know these big ships have side thrusters that will move them sideways. But the rudder is super important on this. Then he moves to wildland fires. He says, just a spark. I cannot tell you how many wildland fires I've been on. They're not my favorite fires because they have a life to themselves. And I don't like things that have a life to themselves. So I pulled up to the one on the left right here. This is the same fire. And it's just smoldering off to the side, right? But what I know is there's a ton around the outside of that that's fuel that's about to take off. And what I also know is there's housing developments on all sides of this fire right here. You can see my car's up on top and I'm up on top of the hill. Now, I knew wind conditions. I knew everything that was going on. We don't usually sit on top of a hill unless we have a good way out, which I did, because fire will run up a hill super fast. But I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, we're not going to be able to stop this. This was started with a cigarette butt. Somebody actually admitted it and they tried to put it out. At least they admitted it, right? We had to shut down and move out a mile around the outside of this because we knew how fast these trees could go. It was in the middle of summer. Funny story is my dog Emma is sitting in the back of my car because I was on my way home when this thing went out. And I was like, Emma, you're a fire dog now. She's a lab. But so she sat there and whined, and my chief shows up, and all I saw was my chief grab Emma and go for a walk with my dog. Cause I'm like, okay, I guess I got the fire still. So we call in helicopters. We use all kinds of things to stop these fires. They move really fast. In Eastern Washington, where I grew up, a brush or a stubble fire could move 45, 50 miles an hour. You could be driving along, and I have been before, and watch the stubble burn up next to you and jump things like they were never there. Just jump right over roads. I've seen that so many times where the embers come over the top. But just a little teeny cigarette started this and shut down a whole mile. Now, just one thing that you say that's not right can shut down an entire group of people. Not just me, but you guys too. And so when I start thinking about, Lord, how can I tame my tongue to where this wildland fire doesn't get out of control? And I don't know about you, but I'll get done speaking or I'll get done doing something and I'll start beating myself. I should have said this. I should have done this. This should have happened. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I said this. And that's the enemy attacking me in that spot where I go, no, I shouldn't have. This is what I was supposed to say. I did what I was supposed to do. So I start thinking about how this works. Just a little teeny thing in our life can become a huge thing really fast by saying one thing wrong. Ever been in that situation? Ever been in that? Usually it's family. I'm not going to lie. Usually it's family. But it can be anybody. Like you can say something and then they hold that impression about you forever. My grandma used to say, don't lose your witness with people. Don't lose your witness. And your witness is just how they see Jesus in you. Don't lose your witness in somebody. All you have to do is just change things just a little bit and your witness is awesome. And the biggest thing is talking about Jesus where you go. So a word can lift someone up or it can rip their heart out. Not just whatever, but in anger. I don't know how many of you in anger have done this before, said something and then went, I didn't mean that. You did mean it. You just didn't engage your filters. It's really hard to back out of something that you say and you go, oh no, but you meant it. You didn't mean to say it. It was in you, but anger brought that out of you and it spewed out. And so then you have to deal with that. No matter what you do, you can't reel that back in. You can ask for forgiveness. You can start moving towards things that help things out. But the key to this whole thing is to be intentional with your words. So I take this, and some of you heard this message when we were in Living Water, but it's that just take a deep breath, right? Before you get into this. Before you speak, say, Lord, control my tongue. Don't let me cause damage with how I'm speaking. Don't let me do it. And that goes a long ways. And he honors that, right? So be very intentional about how you speak. I love watching people where you can see their gears move before they speak. That's not me, unfortunately. I kind of fly by the seat of my pants. And so it's like, but I've learned over time to go, if I just count to 5, my outlook and what's going to come out my mouth is totally going to change. It's going to change on how I speak to people, how I work. It can be brothers and sisters. Those are easy targets. Your easy targets are your best friends, your wife, your girlfriend, people who you're around a lot. And the reason why is when you spew that, you're not afraid they're just going to jet on you. Spew it enough times, they will. They will. But you think you're safe. You're not. And you can't do that. So you really have to watch and be very intentional about how you do this. You see, I believe that our words are meant to bring people up and build them up. My whole goal when I meet someone, I'll shake your hand once, but I'm hugging you after that, just the way it goes. Is my whole goal is how can I build you up? How can I make you better in whatever you're doing? My leadership team is the same way. It's like, okay, what do you need? My job's to make you do well. This is Jessica over here. Jessica, will you wave? Okay. That's our children's ministry director. She gets to sit in service today. So the girls are taking her up and making sure she's okay. So guide, encourage, build up, or you tear down and you destroy. That's your choice. There's really not a lot of middle ground other than just not saying anything at all. I don't say anything at all. People don't really know what I'm saying or what I'm doing. But it's hard to go through life like that, isn't it? I believe James is saying I'm in the same spot you guys are at. Because when I'm preaching with you, believe me, I've gone through it when I've written these sermons. Like I've walked through this and gone, ooh, I'm really convicted now. And I'm about to preach this convicted. James 3:6-12. And the tongue is a fire. It stains the whole body. No one can tame the tongue. It is restless, evil, and full of deadly poison. With the tongue, we bless the Lord, and with it, we curse people. My brothers and sisters, these things I say, not to be this way. What he's saying is this: you don't get to say one thing to Jesus and then say something different to somebody else. You don't get to do that. And that's hard. So if I talk to you like Peter, if I talk to you all the time like I would talk to Jesus, it'd be cool, wouldn't it? Now, we're gonna talk a little redneck and cowboy stuff because that's what we do. But for the most part, we're talking about things that are lifting people up and edifying people. You see, that's my job, is to lift you up. Now, I'm going to preach hard sermons, things that are tough. But in the end, I'm walking it through right with you. You see, I believe a leader does something. I believe a leader's in the front and not the back. And so if I'm going into this stuff, I'm going into it with you. And I'm going to tell you straight up, I'm in the same boat as you are. In the same single sentence, you can burn down somebody or you can build trust. With relationships, with communities, it doesn't really matter. All over the world, think of rumors. Now here is church hurt, okay? Rumors. Think of rumors. Rumors are painful because I don't know a lot of rumors that are positive. Mostly it's, oh, did you hear about Sister Sally? We need to pray for her. I'm going to give you a prayer request. And it's not really a prayer request, it's just a rumor. You're just spreading that out there. You're just kind of moving it along. Or did you hear so-and-so did this? And so how are you building or edifying them up? Have you talked to them? Do you know what's going on in their lives? Are you able to really understand where it is? Or are you just putting something together and going, I'm just going to start rumors? And so that has completely destroyed churches before. It's torn them apart. Rumors, the way that people talk to each other. And that's why I've told my leadership, and I tell you, I'm completely transparent. If I'm not the same person here that you see on the streets, you can hold me accountable to that. If I'm not building people up, hugging them, saying, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? If my words start tearing people down, you can hold me accountable just like I can hold you accountable. And James is saying this: dear brothers and sisters, I'm in the struggle with you, but we need to change how we deal with things. One harsh comment can break up a relationship. Just one comment where people takes it wrong and goes, oh, I'm never speaking to them again. No, I'm sorry, girls. I'm gonna generalize. You're a little harsher on each other than the guys are. With the guys, we just punch each other and be done with it. With the girls, because of how your thought process is going, I'm not picking on you. You girls can be mean. I'm a dad of daughters, and they take it out on me first. So you guys know my daughter Riley. A lot of you do. She's a little blessed thing. Oh no. She can tear me apart in a heartbeat because I love her, right? I have this ability. She has this ability to just kind of tear this apart. It can break complete relationships with just one comment. I walked through this and I said, oh man, I'm walking through this. And I confronted someone, did the biblical thing, walked through it. And about 3 days later, I went, this is stupid. And I had shot the person a message and I said, this is stupid. We can't do this to each other. We're brothers and sisters. We cannot act like this. Because did I have the right ground to stand on? Yeah, I did. I wasn't the one spreading rumors. They were. And I could have just rubbed your nose into it. But the fact of the matter is, I know how easy it is for me to get in that boat too. It's easy. It's easy for that to happen. So he's saying, look, here's the deal. We got to watch our mouths. We can't tear down people because we need his image to happen. So when he says this should not be, he's talking about how we're dealing with the day-to-day stuff. Be careful how you deal with things. You have to be super careful with that. I love James and how he does it. You can't so he goes on to talk about springs, fig trees, and the such. Where is the scripture on that? Did I pass it? I passed it. What's 13 though? Oh my goodness, I missed it. Okay, you guys are just going to follow with me because you have it, okay? For some reason I don't have it in here. He starts talking about what things can happen and can't happen. Such as a fig tree can't grow olives, right? A grapevine can't grow figs. In other words, your mouth reveals the source in which you're being grown. You can't grow one way and then spew acid the other way. Well, you can, but you won't have a lot of friends to hang out with because they're going to be somebody that you pick on. They reveal what's actually happening in your heart. Look, I wear my emotions on my sleeve. If I'm having a bad day, people around me know I'm having a bad day. They can just see it on my face. And I'm always good with people going, dude, you all right? I'm good. I'm just having a bad day. I'm trying to walk this out. How many of you have taken cold medicine before and it makes you really grumpy? I was there a couple of days ago and I was with Ben and Cassie and we had stopped for dinner and I said, I don't know if you guys really want to be around me. I'm really crabby. And I knew I was really crabby and really edgy. I had to push into this. I had to go, okay, listen, I know that's not me or my heart, so I can't let the cold medicine make me be a jerk. I got to control the cold medicine. And I did. I just quit taking it. It was easy. If your words form what's on the inside of you, they're real. They work on what's real. We all have the moments where we slip up in anger. We all do. You're not the only person. You can get out of it, okay? There's a big difference between I'm sorry and please forgive me. Understand? I'm sorry. I bumped you. I'm sorry. I ripped your guts out on what I said. I need to come to you, humble myself, say, please forgive me for what I've said. Please forgive me because it's not my heart and I'm really sorry that happens. Now that can start a healing process. And maybe the person on the other side and you go, well, I don't know if I can forgive them. Oh, really? Huh. Well, let me just tell you, I love Mark Gunger's version of forgiveness because a lot of people look at forgiveness different. And you're going to give and receive the same way. You're going to spew something. It's going to happen. And you're going to have to ask forgiveness at some point. This is what Mark Gunger says. Forgiveness isn't forgetting. It's choosing to leave it at the foot of the cross. When it comes up and the enemy tries to make it happen, I go, nope, I'm putting it at the cross. Now, I can still remember the pain that I sat down there. I can still remember all those things that are sitting down, but I'm choosing to leave it there and walk away. And it becomes easier and easier to walk away from. And our mouths create that worse than anything. They create a situation and then the enemy starts to attack you and the enemy starts saying that you can't be forgiven or what's it matter whether you did this or not. And those are lies straight from the pit of hell. Because what we want to be able to do is we want to walk through life loving together. We're in a battle, but not against flesh and blood. We're in a spiritual battle. And we're going to preach a lot on that coming up, but we are in a spiritual battle. So we have to have each other's boots is what we say. Now, I know some of you don't know what that means, but I was a firefighter. And when you went through the door, you always had someone behind you and they were on your boot. And so as you went into the fire, they were slapping your boot because they're crawling too. You didn't move until you felt their boot tap. Boot tap, I could move. Boot tap. Or you would get good. It's a balance thing. You got 40 pounds of gear on, another 30 pounds of air pack on. So you're carrying 70 pounds and you're crawling and you're holding a foot and you're grabbing the ground. I've actually held onto the foot the whole way. That way they know they're there. You see, that is what we have to do for each other. We have to have each other's boot in this. The second I let go or I feel you let go, I got to stop. Something's wrong. You got to care about that person who stopped talking to you. Why'd they stop talking to me? And this, high school, junior high, all the way up through work, these things, you have to start thinking about this. Because we're going into battle with people and we need to make sure that our words are true and that we're building up and we're edifying people and we're bringing them up into where they need to go. When I say, hey, I didn't mean it, instead say, please forgive me. You did mean it. It did happen. It came out. You know, you didn't mean it in the tone that it was. I get that, but it came out. You know, he's not just warning about dangers of the tongue. He's warning about you being consistent in what you do. You know, it takes a while. If you've ever had a problem cussing, it takes a while to quit. And once you quit, it's like, oh, cool. I'm not doing it anymore. If you've ever smoked, it ain't easy to quit. But after you get done with it and you start changing your routines, you start changing what you're doing, you go, okay, I can let that go. I can leave that behind. There's a lot of dangers there. We need to be giving people grace. And that's the key. You see, when church hurts happens is when grace stops. It stops. We stop giving grace and then we start choosing sides. There's only one side. There's only one church. Not just the well. There's 3 churches in this town, one church that serves one God. And that's the key, is you want to make sure that you're pushing that. So what do I have to do now as I walk this out? I have to check my heart before I speak. If I'm too angry to talk to somebody, I need to take a time out. I can remember a time that I did something really bad. And my dad was so mad, mainly because I lied to him. I tied my sister up in tube socks. And I left. And I went out to do chores or something. And my dad's standing at the door, and I see him, and in his hand's a belt. And I'm like, ooh, this isn't going to be good. So I walked up. You know when you know you're caught, right? So I walked up and I said, hi, what are you doing? What did you do? I don't know. What are you talking about? What did you do? I said, I tied my sister up. Put her right down. Tied my sister up. Now, my dad was really angry and could have said a lot of things. You know what he did to me? And I've done this to my kids, and it's really difficult. He put me in my room and said, I'll be there in a few minutes. Oh, no. Oh, no. Beat me now. Beat me now. Don't make me do this. Because the worst is coming to your mind, right? Beat me now. So, and my dad never beat me, just to be fair. But I did get a hack with a belt. And you'd have to lay over the bed, hands up, so you couldn't grab your buns. Whack. And I'd only get one. Only he was so mad at me that when he went to do it, I heard him laugh and then leave the room. He couldn't do it. He just knew that if he did just one whack, I got a feeling he would have killed me. But he was like, he just thought, okay, this is really kind of funny. And I know how much I just put him through. So when he would try that, he would go, we want the hack now, or do you want to wait in your room? No, now, right this minute. Go. I can honestly say I never got a spanking I didn't deserve. I may have been I don't know. I was a perfect angel. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so James clearly says this, but the Spirit can transform the source. So it can transform the source. Let your speech reflect grace, and let your grace receive it. Get built up from other people. When you're having a bad day, tell somebody, hey, I'm having a bad day. I need a little grace. Now, that doesn't give you the ability to emotionally spew acid on them. It just basically says, I'm going to give you a little bit of grace because I know I'm a dad of daughters. 4 of them. At times, 3 of them in the house at the same time. I knew when to walk very lightly. I knew when to extend grace. I knew what was going on with my kids. And I knew that when the emotions started peaking, I needed to work overtime. No, I didn't. I stayed. But I can remember Ashley, when Ashley would be going through emotional times, she's going to kill me for this. Don't watch this, Ashley. She would come home from school and she would just start screaming at me. And I'm like, have you lost your ever-loving mind? Hi, Dad. Would that work? Bah! She's screaming at me. And then the next thing, and I'd have snot all down my shirts because she's like, I'm sorry. I'm just having a bad day. So Dad's the closest. She knows Dad's going to at least take a step back and go, have you lost your mind? What's going on? So you can, it was pretty challenging with girls growing up in the house. I did have a son in the mix, and we oftentimes did garage things and said, let's go to the garage. Let's go to the garage, because in the garage we're safe. How many of you have had people speak to you with grace and speak to you with patience and be able to walk you through things? For me as a pastor, I can step back from what people are going through, and I can look at it a little bit differently. And my first cousin died this week. He's 2 years older than me. I look at death a little bit differently. And what I thought my role should be with the family was to speak life to them as we were going through losing my cousin. And so all I knew was to love on them. That's all I knew. They're in Lewiston. I can't be in Lewiston. I got family all over Idaho and everywhere. But they're in Lewiston. I knew that I had to Just let them talk. Be patient. Show that Jesus in me without saying a word. And just listen to what they have to say. It's a hard thing to walk through. I look at death a little bit differently. I've seen a lot more death than most of you. And I say most of you because if you're a soldier, you're probably seen as much death as me. But in 42 years of the fire service, I've seen a lot of dead people. And I've seen a lot of people come to Jesus right there with just kind words. And I've seen people be angry. And I know they're angry at me. I've had people hit me when we stopped cardiac arrest. And the only thing I could do is turn and hug them because I knew that's not what they meant. They were just working out this thing and they were going through it. So sometimes if you can put your head in the gray space, I like that word, gray space. You can put your head in the gray space, you're doing pretty good. So watch how you speak, hold your own tongue, watch what you're doing with things. Show truth. When you teach, and all of you are teachers, all of you are, teach with truth, teach with responsibility, knowing that you need to be prepared for what you teach and how you talk to people. Even if it's your kids you're teaching. Work things through. Just remember the tongue's super powerful and super strong. And be very slow and slow yourself down. Because anger happens fast. James 1:9 started when we first started this. It's be slow to speak, slow to anger, and quick to listen. Those three things are really hard. And when anger gets in there or the tongue starts engaging, he's talking straight to your tongue. Control it. Make sure that you slow these things down think before you speak. Yikes. Do I have problems with that? Thinking before I speak. Take a second. I always knew I lost the battle with this. One of my kids came to me and said, Dad, I've been praying about this and I want to talk to you about it. I've already lost. God's on their side. I'm just kidding. There was a joke there. So they prayed about it. So I have to slow down and change how I process what they're doing because they've purposely taken time to process it. And I have to purposely just stop and listen and go, okay, if they've taken time to pray about it, if they've taken time to come to me and have the conversation with me, I need to stop and listen. And I need to just think my way through things. God's going to help you with this. All you have to do is ask. He's going to bring life, not harm. When you start working with things, write down some things and this week that maybe you're angry about and let go of it. How many of you journaled? And guys don't usually journal, but I have learned through life to journal, especially when I'm angry. I called it the book of vomit. You wouldn't want to read what was inside there. It was very not pastorally done, but it was between me and God. And then I would burn it or I would shred it. It helped me not moving into those minutes of just throwing things out there, just throwing my anger out and processing my anger. Share with someone who's encouraging. Say, hey, listen, I'm struggling, but I need you to encourage me with this. Be encouraging to someone else, right? You see, God can control your tongue and his wisdom can control your conversation. He can walk you through this and he can make this happen. But you have to slow down. James is talking to a church that's scattered all over the place. Today, there are churches scattered all over the place. That what they need to do is build bridges and not walls. They need to build community and not be an island. All of us. And that's the way the well is going to be. Is we're building community. We're not building islands. We're not saying, hey, our way is the only way. What we're saying is we'll work with you because his way is the only way. And I know that I'm not the only one that struggled with their tongue in here and saying things that were there. And James he gets it, but he's talking to 12 different tribes that have 12 different things of the way they do things. And they tend to not give grace to each other as a tribe. We can give grace to someone else, another school, another church, another person. Because, and it's easier, isn't it easier when you don't know them though, to give them grace? There's no personal attachment to it. Now, if Olivia was to just, it would hurt my heart because I know her and I love her and I know that she's not that way. I know she struggles. I know I struggle. I know there are times when she needs to just go bleh, and I'm okay with that. So here's the deal. And I want to just challenge you with this. When you're talking to somebody, how many of you just need to talk things out? I'm a talker. I like to talk things out. Okay. Here's what you can do to help the other person. I don't want you to fix it. I just want you to listen. Okay? The listener, all you have to do is listen. Put your phone down, but listen. Okay? Listen. And then guess what will happen in the end? During the conversation that they have with you, they'll either kind of start fixing themselves, walking themselves out. That's how God restores us, right? And I don't have to say a word, or the Lord will give me words to say afterwards, because I'll be praying for them as they're just letting me not fix it and let God fix it. Because that's the key to the whole thing, is I can't fix something that you're going through, or you're going through, or you're going through. I can only fix me, and I can fix my attitude to help you through it, because that's what God wants us to do. And that's what James is talking to us about, is he's talking to us about that. And he's going, look, don't call a fig tree a cherry tree, because it's not. It doesn't bear the same fruit. Don't mix your words up and get people confused. So, will you pray with me? Father, I'm so grateful for your word today. Father, thank you for each person who's here. Lord, I pray for the people who are not here, who are sick, and many of them have talked to me this week that they're sick. Father, I pray that your healing begin even right now in their bodies, that they receive that healing. Father, thank you for speaking through James to us, that we watch how we speak to people. We give you, Lord, the honor. We give you, Lord, the praise and the grace. And we say this in Jesus' name. Amen.